Okay, so for those keeping score, we just got done doing the rest of what I can do without getting any more parts on the cutter bar. So now I got some bearings I gotta change. I'm doing all 3 bearings on this counter shaft, and the reason I'm doing them is because the dust shield on this one keeps popping off, which means that the dust shield is screwed. And I figure if I'm going to replace that bearing, I might as well just go through and replace all of them. So I'm doing that one, the one on the other side, and the one here for the pitman arm, and then that shaft will have all new bearings on it. And then I have to do the thrust bearing here on the variable speed, because that thing's getting awful dry sounding. I already did the 2 outer bearings many moons ago and kind of completely forgot about this one, but that's not that big of a deal to do. So I'm not even 100% sure I have to take the variable speed all the way off. I might have enough room to just bust these 2 bolts loose and tilt it up. Hopefully, maybe. We'll see. But we're not starting there. We're going to start at the head. So I wish they'd give you a latch to prop this door open. I guess I could just set the head down. It doesn't necessarily have to be up in the air, although it does make life easier. What is going to be the best way to do this? Oh, I guess we can just try them one. I was thinking about pulling the whole shaft, or just pulling the whole shaft off, but that's a little bit of a chore, so I guess we'll do it one at a time. Alright, I lied. We're just going to pull the whole shaft off, because you have to pull off most of the stuff to get it out of the way to do this outer bearing, and at that point you're going to be 99% of the way to having the whole shaft off, so we're just going to do it that way. Guy might be a little bit of a booger. I guess we're gonna have to get on it with a puller. Just for the sake of space, take the flyweight off. That's getting new bolts put in it. All right, now what I'll have to do is bust this chain loose take this off, which attaches the guard, or holds the guard steady. I wonder what that little guy does, or did. Unless it was just a pin. Could have been just a pin that went in that hole. Anyhow, so take this chain off and take this bracket off, and then it's a matter of these 4 bolts right here that hold this bracket on, and these 2 bolts right here, and then this whole shaft will just drop out the bottom. Alright, it's going to be a whole lot nicer in here in the shade than out there. So I got the set screw loose in this first stop collar. I cannot tell. It looks like it's been drove both ways at one point, but the marks this way are deeper, so we'll see. Well, it's not wanting to go that way, so we'll try this way. Well, it's not wanting to go either way. So this may end. Let me try one more thing. This will move it one way or the other. Burrs off there. It's a good way to cut your finger. Okay, there's that. So now, I don't have a rag. Right there. Now, we will get the flanges and everything out of the way, and hopefully, since I got room, the other one's going to be a little different, but hopefully, since I got room, I can just get out with the air hammer and drive it off. That's nice. Really? Really, really. I put it there by hand. That'll teach you. Okay, I got this bearing holder loosely assembled so that the bearing can still rotate inside the flanges. And the shaft is cleaned up so that the bearing slips on decent. And how this is going to work is, we're going to take this side apart and put it all back together and tighten it up. And then that side will actually get put together and tightened up on the head. Since both bearings on this shaft are locked to the shaft, this one, the position on the shaft is set because it butts right up against this hub that the pump drive sprocket goes on. And because that one has to go in that spot and get tightened up, this side is going to have to go on second and get tightened up second, because you have to let the shaft float, get everything on that side tightened up, and then do this side last. So next will be this side. Now I can't remember if this sprocket is held on by a taper. I remember doing the one when I rebuilt this drive on the 525 head. Is that a washer? I think that's a washer. That's a washer. Okay, it's just a straight shaft, so we're gonna pull it off. Oh, hey, it was a tapered shaft. Well, that makes things simpler. Well, simpler as long as it popped off like it just did. If it didn't do that, then it makes things harder. So what do you suppose the odds are pulling this bearing off without just completely shattering that outer race, leaving the inner one stuck to the shaft? I'm gonna put my glasses on. I can't tell. It's moving. She was not happy about it, but she moved. That one's a little crustier than the other one was. Of course, the other one was not original. It's been changed because you can see the torch scar where they cut the old one off. Alright, I got it where the bearing goes on good. So, well, number one, when we put this stuff back together, plenty of schlickum. I should never have to do this bearing again in my lifetime, but just in case we do, we might as well make it easy on ourselves. there's that. Now we can go ahead and loosely reassemble this. Actually, I am gonna go grab some new lock washers for those. Alright, bearing is locked down. I didn't tighten the set screw because once we get it on there and I can hold it steady better, we'll hit it one more time just to make sure we got a good positive bite. And then I'll tighten the set screw and everything. But now the sprocket can go on. Oops. And this is getting a new bolt just in case I deformed the old one pushing on it with the puller. I thought I took it off with this. I could have swore I took this off with that. Didn't I? If I did, it sure don't fit now. Well, I'll be. I could have swore I took this off with that impact. Oh, there it went. That should be plenty tight. Okay, obviously these back two bolts go in when we put the shield back on, so now should be good to throw it back on the head. Okay, now before I tighten that side all the way up and everything still has the ability to flex and align itself, we're going to put this side on. Definitely got that side cleaned up plenty good. way everything works on this side of the shaft, you actually set this bracket up to align the drive shaft. So the easiest thing to do, if it'll move, is to just slide the coupler over, and that sets your shaft alignment. Take a little tweaking. Naturally, now it fits. Went to get a hammer to knock it around because it wouldn't move, and now it fits just fine. Okay, there's that side. Okay, the bearings, or the bearing flanges and everything are tight on this shaft. All I have to do now is finish locking down the bearings, but before I can do that, I need something to put some drag on the shaft so that it won't turn on me. So we're gonna go ahead and change this pitman arm bearing, which is held in with an internal snap ring. Since this is still red, I'm guessing it has never been changed. And where did I put the hammer? Right there. Life's a lot easier when you don't gotta worry about saving the bearing. And I already cleaned up the shaft so it goes on that easy. And you don't want it to go into this too easy because you don't want it spinning. So if you gotta tap it back in, that's not necessarily a bad thing, actually. Oopsie. Also, don't drop your bearings because that's not good. We do want to and I see this. Oh no, he was hitting on the race. I was barely tapping it, it's fine. If you gotta go in and wail on it, then you probably need to get a bearing or some sort of bearing driver or make a bearing driver, but I was just tapping it. It's fine. Okay, so I'll get you pointed up here. And I guess before I do that, we need to throw this chain back on, because it's kind of handy not having to break it. Except, let's get this. And then literally the only thing, there's no key or nothing, it's not a press fit. The only thing holding this on the shaft is tension from the bolt, or tension from the nut. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, you want it tight, but it doesn't have to be super duper crazy tight, because you don't technically have 360 degrees to thread because you got that flat there for the lock washer. All right, everything's back together. That chain's tight. I replaced this chain because it was getting so worn that when it was tight on either side of the sprocket, it was actually sagging at the bottom. And no, it was not off a tooth. It was just that, it was that bad. If I held it out here about thigh level, I mean, it was probably a, 2.5-ish foot long chain, maybe 3. If I held it right here about thigh level, it had enough bend in it to touch the ground. I mean, it was, or slop in it, that it would arch enough to touch the ground. It was pretty well shot. So that's replaced. Bearings tight, that bearing's in, so we're all good to go here. That was probably the easiest 3 bearings I've ever had to change. Didn't even have to get the torch out. So with that being done, Mom's got dinner, or we're doing dinner tonight because we didn't do anything last weekend for Labor Day. So I think rather than getting started, because that bearing I would estimate is probably going to be about a 2-hour-ish project, maybe not that bad. It depends on how hard it wants to come apart, but I think we're going to wait on this. And while I got a little bit of time left, we're going to go ahead and throw the chopper back on, because that needs done regardless. So I'm going to get this mess cleaned up and we'll switch to that. All right, chopper's on, belt's all back together. So as far as the combine goes, last two things, actually the three things we need to do is switch the drive sprocket on the cylinder, change that bearing, and then just obviously oil change, fuel filters, you know, general service. And then on the head, we're down to figuring out, actually we already got the sickle bar figured out, we just have to get the parts to put it all together. So hopefully they can turn and burn that and I can have it by the end of the week. Would be, you know, nice. Because I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to finish this whole schmear up by the end of the week. But tomorrow and Tuesday, and I think actually Wednesday, we have some pretty, sounds like some pretty decent chances of rain. At least it was. Let me check here real quick. Which, if it is, we're going to switch gears just a tad. Come on, load. Load. Tomorrow, chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, chance of rain 60%, and they took the chance out of Wednesday. So, which hopefully we do get some rain, because that should be enough to push everything over the hump and finish out till the end of the month with the inch that we got beginning of this last week. And then if we get some more today, or not today, if we get some more between Monday and Tuesday, and then obviously that hay field that is planted could probably still use a drink. That should be sprouted by now, I would think. If we had an inch of rain, or had 9/10 Tuesday, and then Wednesday it was kind of nasty, drizzly. It didn't actually rain, but it was like a nasty, misty, like there was precipitation most of the day. It just didn't put anything in the rain gauge because it was like a really heavy mist. So I'd say we had somewhere in the neighborhood of an inch. And then it was fairly warm most of the rest of the week, so surely that stuff's up out of the ground by now. It's been, when did I do that? Last Sunday? So it's been 7 days. I should go by and check that this afternoon, or yet this evening. But anyhow, if it's raining tomorrow, the plan is to switch gears and get the 8700 dug out of the corner and move that over into the door and get that serviced. Because the only thing, unless I find something major foobarred with it in the process of looking it over and servicing it, there was nothing wrong with it that needed attention the end of last year. So it just needs oil change, fuel filters greased, and a quick inspection to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it, at least visually, and then that'll be good to go. Corn head, same thing. It just needs a quick add grease to the gearboxes, check it real quick, because the vast majority of anything that could be fixed on that got fixed on it last year, aside from stock knives, which I still want to get done here at some point, but speeding the head up last year helped a lot, so we're going to push that off for one more year. So hopefully between Monday and Tuesday we can get the 87 knocked out. That'll be done and off the slate. Wednesday, if the weather's nice, we can jump back on this thing and get the combine knocked out and off the slate, and then we'll be down to the table. And then after that, it'll depend on whether I have the rest of the parts for this or not as to where we go next, which would be the corn head, which is probably like a couple hours worth of work. Just, if, I don't even know if it'll be that long, basically just look at it. So, and I'm still waiting for my rims to get painted for the grain truck so that we can get tires for that and get that whole situation figured out. But once we get that stuff knocked out, I got to go over the chisel plow real quick because I had and check bolts and grease it, and then it's good to go grease up the white real quick so that it's good to go. And then at that point it'll basically be sitting around waiting on things to get done. And I have a couple filler videos for the interim. I got those 2 AGCO videos that I need to get changed over to digital so I can upload them, and some other things I'd like to get done, time allowing. So here's fingers crossed that there's time allowing. So with that being said, that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.